coming to you straight from Manila, Philippines. This is Rise Up Investor. Today we're talking about startups and funding and how timing can make or break a startup. Raising funds is a crucial aspect of any business venture, especially for startups that require financial support to grow and succeed. This process can be tedious and very challenging, with significant differences in the time it takes to secure investments between funding stages. So what is a startup? A startup is a company or project undertaken by an entrepreneur to seek, develop, and validate a scalable business model. While entrepreneurship includes all new businesses, including self-employment and businesses that do not intend to go public, startups are new businesses that intend to grow large beyond the solo founder. At the beginning, startups face high uncertainty and have high rates of failure, about 90%, but a minority of them do go on to become successful and influential. Many times, startups are referred as an entity which is not sure what product to sell, whom to sell to, and how to make money. These founders find answers to these questions through experimentation before running out of money and motivation. To gain access to financial support, startups undergo what is called funding rounds. A funding round is a process, a fundraising event startups or big businesses use to raise capital. Each round is given a letter because each round follows another. The letter identifies which number of rounds they are on. One of the factors that can affect the time gap between funding stages is the industry or sector in which the startup operates. For instance, healthcare companies require more time and resources to develop products and obtain regulatory approval, which can result in longer periods between funding rounds. On the other hand, software and e-commerce startups can develop and scale their products faster, so they could have shorter gaps between funding rounds. Here are the types of funding rounds for a startup. Pre-seed, or the proof of concept and prototype, involves hiring and raising about $10,000 up to $1 million. The next funding stage, Series A, involves revenue growth. This involves development, operations, branding, marketing, and raises about $10 million for a startup. Series B is the growth stage. This involves hiring, market expansion, buying businesses, and raises about $15 million to $25 million. While Series C is about large-scale expansions and involves acquiring businesses and international markets, and raises about $50 million or more. Southeast Asia in the last decade has seen tremendous growth and volatility among startups between funding stages. From pre-seed or concept stage, a startup could take 19 months to proceed to Series A. From Series A to Series B, it could take another 20 months for a startup to gain access to more capital. And from Series B to Series C, it could take another 22 months for a startup to gain an additional funding. The state of the broader economy and financial markets can also play a role. In times of economic uncertainty or market volatility, investors may be more cautious and reluctant to invest, leading to longer periods between funding rounds. The time between funding stages is critical in determining a startup's runway. If a startup takes too long to raise its next round of funding, it may run out of cash before achieving its milestone. This can lead to layoffs, downsizing, or even bankruptcy. In contrast, startups that secure funds more quickly have a longer runway, allowing them to invest in growth, hire new employees, and develop new products or services. This can result in higher revenue and a more robust customer base, increasing the startup's chances of survival. Minority of startups eventually go to Series D funding and beyond. There are usually two reasons a startup goes past the Series C funding round. These are new opportunities, where a potentially lucrative opportunity appears that require the company to act before the initial public offering, or a subpar performance, where the startup misses the goals set during the Series C round of funding and it then raises more funds in the Series D round to address the issues. There is no limit to how many funding rounds a startup can go through. If a company has more advanced revenue goals, it may complete as many fundraising series as necessary. Mezzanine funding and bridge loans. These loans are designed for fairly mature businesses worth at least $100 million. A mezzanine loan blends debt and equity for lenders, while bridge loans are short-term financing. They close the financial gap between this phase and the IPO, or the initial public offering. The funds might be used to buy out the management at another company or acquire a competitor. Loans typically last 6 to 12 months and are paid back with proceeds from the IPO. And then we have the initial public offering, or the IPO. An IPO is the pinnacle of a startup's success. It occurs when shares of the company are offered up for public purchase for the first time. The IPO is used to generate funds for further growth or allowing the startup's owners to cash out their remaining shares for personal income. There are important events that occur in preparation to issue an IPO. This includes formation of a public offering team comprised of Securities and Exchange Commission experts, lawyers, accountants, and underwriters. Compilation of the startup's information such as financials and the anticipated future operations. Preparation of an audit of the company's financial statements. And completion of the governmental IPO requirements, which include filing the startup prospectus with the SEC and formalizing the offering date. In the last decade, Southeast Asia has produced 53 unicorns. A unicorn status of a startup is a $1 billion valuation, which is usually the indicator for a startup to go public or undergo the initial public offering. To name some of the unicorns in Southeast Asia, as of April 2021, here are some of the examples. C Group, an e-commerce and gaming company, is valued at $142 billion. Grab, a ride-hailing and food delivery business, is valued at $39.6 billion. Razer, a consumer electronics, financial services, and gaming hardware company, is valued at $26.52 billion. Gojek, an on-demand multi-service platform and digital payment technology group, is valued at $10.5 billion. Tokopedia, an e-commerce company, is valued at $7.5 billion. And Traveloka, a company focused on travel and ticketing, is worth $5 billion. And that's all we have. Thank you so much for sticking around. More episodes coming right up.